Hey guys, it's Crystal from Chicoli Tarot again. Welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited because today is the first in the series of the darker decks in my deck collection. So I just want to preface this by saying if you maybe are easily upset or don't like darker imagery, there we go. This may not be the video for you. Please be sure to check out my friendlier tarot deck video collection. Friendly tarot deck collection videos. Those might be more up your alley. But for today, we're going to jump right in with some darker decks. Now, the first three that I'm going to start with, let me grab them here, are a little controversial because they are not what we typically think of when we think of a quote-unquote darker deck, but I will explain myself. So I'm going to bring them all out here together because I want to talk about why they're here. So we have the Bonefire Tarot as well. This is the book for the Bonefire Tarot. I just want to show it really quickly. It is a nice big book. I really like this book. I guess we'll start with the Bonefire Tarot apparently. I really like the book. I feel like it brings kind of a more modern edge to the tarot. And some of you might be wondering why the heck the Bonefire Tarot is here, because it's not, again, what we think of when we think of a traditionally darker deck. Here are the backs. I love the artwork in this deck because it is very tattoo-esque. It's really cool. It is a little busy, so if you are someone who does not gravitate towards busy artwork, this might not be the deck for you. And this deck is really only here for one reason and one reason alone. Come on, focus. It keeps wanting to focus on that back there. Sorry, guys. But yeah, this deck is here for one reason, and I will show you when we get to it. I guess the imagery is a little, I don't know, some people might consider it a little dark. Here's the reason that this deck is here. It's the Death card. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if it's because of my geographical location, because I am so close to New York City, that I find this to be just inappropriate. Here we have what looks to be the Twin Towers on the Death card. Now, I'm very close to New York City, as I said. I know people who have lost loved ones on 9/11, both in the buildings, outside of the buildings, just in general. I cannot, in good conscience, pull this card out in the middle of a tarot reading for certain clients, for certain friends, because it's just too much. You know, it's something that doesn't need to be pulled to the surface. And some might argue and say, well, if this card comes out from them, maybe that's something they need to deal with still, is the trauma from that day. Great. We all know with tarot, that can be brought up in a very more gentle, subtle way than literally having them stare at the Twin Towers on the Death card. I understand the thought process behind it. I understand the symbolism of it. I just wish that creators would stop including that imagery in decks, because I just feel like it's just too confronting. It's too abrasive. And again, for other places in the world, this might be something that's not problematic. It's something that people know of. It's something that people can, you know, put feelings to. But for the people that I read for, I would feel absolutely horrible to have them kind of staring at that image in the middle of a tarot reading when that's not what they're there for. It's too much. Does that make sense? So that's really the only reason that I have this deck included in my darker decks, is because it's just, I can't pull this out for everyone because of that one image. Again, it is, I mean, it's generally a little dark anyway. Not super so much. I'm great English skills today, you guys. I'm so sorry. But that's really the only reason I have it here, is because of that one card. Otherwise, I don't know that I would so much consider this dark. Maybe a little fantastical. Again, it has like that tattoo artwork. It is a little busy. It's a little wild. It's a little out there. This Judgment card is crazy beans, right? Look at that. But yeah, the only reason it's in here is because of that Death card. I just can't feel comfortable pulling this deck out for everyone. So that is the Bonefire Tarot. I do like this. Mine is edged in black. I keep wanting to focus back there. We're going to get to you. Stop it, newer elements. Mine's edged in black. It's a great deck. There's nothing wrong with this deck. I like this deck. I like reading with this deck. It's just that one card is the only reason that this is included in my dark decks. So if that card doesn't bother you, if it doesn't have any personal affiliation for you, you might not look at it as a darker deck. We're going to jump into the New Era Elements Tarot next. This is a deck that I bought. I had only seen some of the artwork, and it was beautiful. As you can see, it is a black and white deck, black and sepia deck maybe. Here's your little white book that comes with it. This deck, I think, yep, look. Here we have the tower for this deck. Again, it's strikingly similar to the Twin Towers. Why do we need to use that particular imagery? I understand it. You also have the wall here, the Berlin Wall. It's just too much. I can't pull this out. But that's not the only card that is problematic in this deck. This deck, oh, apparently I have all the problematic cards on top, you guys. I'm so sorry. It is very confrontational. It is very politically charged. It's going to make you feel things. It's going to make you, again, confront some darker imagery that maybe not everyone is comfortable confronting. It's a shame because I don't know that it's a shame. I understand what they're doing. I understand where they're going. Again, I wish the Twin Tower imagery, the 9/11 imagery was not a part of it, because the rest of the artwork is really beautiful. And I don't know, like, I just wish that, I don't know. I don't know what I wish. I pulled this out for myself. Again, I'll pull this out for very specific people, but I do warn them ahead of time, like, some of it's uncomfortable. Some of the imagery in here is not friendly and nice. Some of it's a little more modern, which is cool. It does have a more Thoth-based system, as you can see. And, oh, the next one's kind of confrontational. The suits are the elemental symbols, hence it's the New Era's Element Tarot. So if you're not familiar with your elemental symbols, you're going to want to get familiar with them. But see, again, very confrontational, very edgy, very dark. Hence, this is the dark decks. I don't know that everyone would classify this deck as dark. I do, just because, again, some of this imagery is, again, confrontational. It's not the friendly, gentle deck. It's not the pull it out for everyone deck. Again, it is beautiful though. I really, really, really enjoy some of the artwork in this deck. It is a little darker. So yeah, again, not something that I would pull out for everyone. I do like that there is a really nice, what's the word I'm looking for here? A really nice variety in the people that are included in the deck. There's a lot of, oh my goodness, my brain is just not working today, you guys. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of diversity. There we go, in the people in the deck. These are your backs. They have the elements. So yeah, that is the New Era Elements Tarot. Again, it's just some of that imagery is very confrontational. Not everyone might feel that way, but it is what it is. Now, the next one I really struggled with putting in the dark deck category, because to me, this is not dark for me. But again, I understand that it could be for some people. This is the Next World Tarot. This is actually, I didn't know this, they have a pocket size. And I had seen some of the artwork on this deck. I kind of went back and forth forever about buying it. It was a little more pricey for a mass market deck. Here's your little white book. It's a nice little chunky little white book. I went back and forth on this because I wasn't sure if it was for me, and the larger size deck is quite pricey for a mass market deck. So I did buy the pocket size, and let me tell you, I've had to fight buying the full size deck. Once I got this in my hands and really went through it, I was like, oh my goodness. These are the backs. Now, this is actually still in order because I knew I was going to film this video. Not everyone is going to be a fan of this deck. I'm going to tell you that right now. I actually saw in the reviews on Amazon, somebody was like, I don't like to work with it because the imagery is just so sad and depressing. And I think it really depends on how you want to look at it. This deck, this is the card that made me cry, you guys. I don't know if you can really see that so clearly, but it is her stepping out of the mirror, handing her some spoons for the day. If you're a spoonie, you get this imagery. I just thought this was so beautiful for a Lover's card and so smart. This is a very politically charged deck. I think this deck is kind of more what the New Era Elements Tarot wanted to be. I feel like this just goes about it a different way. I will say this. This is the most inclusive deck that I own. You will see all kinds of people, body shapes, body sizes, skin tones. I love this, the Double and Revolution. It's almost like a before and after. I know it's kind of hard. There's a lot going on in these cards. But yeah, there are, I mean, just all different shapes and sizes and bodies, and just a lot of very political statements being made. And, you know, for me, I am on board with everything that's in this deck. I think this deck is really important, especially right now. I think the statements that it makes are very important right now. Like, I don't know if you can see, she's sitting on 2 pillows, and they say decolonization and rebirth for the Six of Wands. So it is very heavily left-leaning as far as ideologies. Again, in a perfect world, no one would look at this deck and have a problem. Everyone would be on board. We don't live in a perfect world, unfortunately, and I think that this deck would cause a lot of people some discomfort. And I think that's important, honestly. I think that having these uncomfortable conversations is very important. Looking at, you know, why we feel a certain way, why we might react a certain way to some of the imagery in this deck. But again, I know that's not what everyone's looking to do when they come for a reading. Unfortunately, like this Seven of Swords. I love it. So yeah, for that reason, just because it is so politically charged and it makes so many statements, I know that this deck is very confrontational for a lot of people. Look at the Two of Cups. Aren't they adorable? I think that if you are someone who maybe is working on becoming a better ally towards any group of marginalized people at all, this is a really great deck to work on some of that repressed bias, repressed prejudice, any repressed racism that you have going on. I think this is a great shadow work deck for those things. If that is something that you are working on in yourself, is just looking at, okay, you know, what bias, what prejudice am I carrying around that maybe I don't acknowledge on a regular basis? Where do I need to work to be a better ally to marginalized people? I think this is a great deck for that. And again, in a perfect world, this would not be on my dark deck list, but I do think a lot of people would find some of this very confrontational, and it would force them to look a little too deep into themselves to see, you know, what it is they react to and what it is they don't. So unfortunately, it is on my dark deck list, even though I don't think it belongs here. So there is that. Again, controversial. Don't come for me, please. Please don't come for me. I love it. Again, I want the full size, but I'm being realistic in the fact that I know it's not for everybody, and that's why it's not dark, it's confrontational. So there we are. Our next deck is another one that I think is a little questionable as far as being included in the dark decks, but so many people do. And that is the Nicoletta Chicoli Tarot. I love this little deck. These are the backs. It reminds me of Christmas. And while I find these images beautiful, they're a little sweet, a little creepy. A lot of people find this, oh, I just dropped her. A lot of people find this deck very uncomfortable to look at. Here's your moon. I, for one, really enjoy it. There's your devil. I really enjoy it. It is a little dark. It is a little spooky. It is a little uncomfortable. But again, I don't know that it necessarily reads that way for me. I know a lot of people use this deck for inner child work, for dealing with childhood traumas, things like that. I like to just pull it out for just about anything. I feel like she gives really good readings. I feel like there's so much to dive into in the artwork on the cards. You can really kind of keep it as surface level as you'd like. You can take it as deep as you'd like. You can read into these images to get, you know, again, as deep of a connection to the card as you'd like. Isn't she beautiful? But I know that this deck is not for everybody. It is not everyone's favorite. Some people get really uncomfortable with it. So it's here. The Chicoli Tarot is here in the dark decks. Like, look at this. How beautiful is the Lover's card. Oops. Look what I'm doing. A mess. So yeah, I don't know. I don't find it to be dark. I do find it to be a little creepy, a little odd. So I guess that's why it's here. But, by far one of my favorite decks. So that's the Chicoli Tarot. Again, one of my favorites. I'm sure a lot of people have this deck floating around. I've seen a lot of videos on it. What I do love is that all of the kings have like this dress thing going on where like their dress is a part of what's happening in the card, which I find really cool. And if you have trouble distinguishing between the king and the queen crowns, the dresses kind of really give it away, which I think, here's your magician. But yeah, so that is the Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot. Again, not the darkest, but some people do find the imagery a little uncomfortable. So she's here. I love her though. She's probably one of my all-time favorites. I own the tarot and I own the oracle, which you'll see in the oracle deck collection. And I keep her in this really fun triple goddess bag. Although I don't know why I put her in that bag, because I don't really know that it really suits that deck, but there it is. It's in there. Okay, so next, let's go to something a little kitschy and fun, but technically still dark. We have the Tarot of the Dead by Monica Knighton. And this is the worst box, by the way. This box is just not great. So there is that. But let me pull these out. Here is your little white book. It's in Spanish and English, so that is cool. And I believe it came with this little organza bag, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. I don't know. Sometimes I forget what I do. Here's the backings. They're absolutely beautiful. Probably one of my all-time favorite backings. I just think they're so cool. And they almost look like they're colored in with colored pencil. They're really beautiful. This is a pip deck. And they have changed the suits. So you have reels instead of pentacles. You have pistols instead of swords. And we'll get to the other ones. I think skulls instead of cups, but I could be wrong. Here's your high priestess. Pens and, oh, I'm sorry. Pistols are not swords. Pens are swords. I might have this all wrong. Where's our little white book? Sorry. See, I hate when I do this. I hate when I pull something out. I'm like, oh, I know. No, I'm sorry. This is the thing that I have with this deck. So the pistols are the swords. The pens are the wands, which I have a really, sorry, my daughter is like making all sorts of noise back. Okay, sorry, my daughter, we're arguing about getting dressed. But yeah, so the one thing I don't like about this is that the pistols are your swords and the pens are wands, which I would make the pens swords because to me, communication, education, you know, using your voice is all sword energy, is energy that's air. I don't think of pens as being wand energy or fire energy. So that's that. I forgot there. I knew there was something about this deck that annoyed me. That was the thing. But the majors are so cute. They're all. Oops, that was the right way. This is the knight. You can see even like the court cards have more of a pippish feel to them. But they do change slightly as you turn them around. The Sun, the Hermit. This is what I find really fascinating. So this is the Death card. It is the only card in the whole deck that is a fully fleshed human rather than a skeleton. And I think it's so smart, and I think it's so deep. I was gonna say funny. It's not funny. It's kind of deep that the Death card would be a pregnant human. Kind of like the beginning of the end. Isn't that funny? I don't know. I thought it was kind of witty. We still have not gotten to any cups, have we? Although I like the Knight of Pens here is riding a unicorn skeleton. It's pretty cool. Where are the cups? I just want to see those. We have reels. Oh, the cups are caskets, or coffins, excuse me. So, yes, if you're not into pip decks, this may not be the deck for you. Otherwise, I think it's beautiful. I love that it's a darker themed deck, but it has like this beautiful pastel-y color scheme to it. So it doesn't feel, I feel like this is like a deck that is dark, but doesn't feel dark. Does that make sense? I think it's just beautiful. And I enjoy this deck. I feel like I haven't worked with it nearly as much as I would like. Again, I have this tendency to pull out certain decks closer to, you know, fall, closer to winter, and this is one of those, and I feel like it's kind of unfortunate because I don't work with it nearly as much as I would like to, and I feel like that's just like a silly thing that I have going in my head, is that this has to be pulled out in fall. It doesn't, especially with the color scheme. I feel like it lends itself to, off center there a little bit, lends itself to the warmer months as well. It is what it is. So next up, this is a weird little deck. This is the Black Tarot by Victoria Iva. I-V-A. I would say Iva, I guess. This is a deck that I've literally seen nowhere. I've never seen anyone talking about this. I had never seen just anything about this, quite honestly. I found it on Amazon and was intrigued. It was relatively inexpensive. This is interesting. The little white book that comes with it is literally A.E. Waite's interpretation of the cards. So it's interesting because it says based on A.E. Waite's, but I would argue that the interpretations in here are not really at all based on A.E. Waite's, because I read his interpretation and they are very old school, a little more traditional, whereas this one is kind of like your standard interpretation of the cards. Does that make sense? But it is strange that the book that comes with these cards is not specific to the cards themselves. It's kind of strange. Here's the backing. It has like this really cool, almost marble effect. Sorry you guys, my camera shut off on me, and that's usually a sign. But yeah, I came across this on Amazon, and again, I kind of searched for it on Google, didn't come across anything really, so I purchased it just out of absolute curiosity because I had never seen it anywhere, and it is cool. I think it's a really interesting deck. I have not worked with it yet. As you can tell, it's all still in order. I will say, I don't know where this comes from. I just don't know. I don't know anything about it other than it was really interesting looking to me. The cardstock is really nice, you guys. It's a real thick, almost feels plasticky. It is matte. I feel like it is going to be a little difficult to shuffle, but let's just see what happens. Yeah, it's a little stiff. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this already came edged in black. I don't believe I edged this. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain that it came edged in black. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. We're going to see how that goes. Again, I haven't used it for anything. I'm not familiar with really any part of this as far as, you know, the company name down here is not a company I recognize. Siren Imports is who is the, it's not focusing there at all. Oh, there we go. Siren Imports LLC. So I really don't know. I have no idea what the origins of this deck are. Again, the book is not specific to the deck. So it's like my weird little mystery deck that I picked up, and I'm really excited to work with it. Again, I haven't yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be really great for shadow work. So that is the Black Tarot, and this is the little tuck box that comes in. Okay, well, I'm sorry that wasn't very many decks. I feel like we only got through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decks. But I'm going to call it here because I think we are over the 20-minute mark. Again, my camera shut off. It's usually a good sign. So I'm going to go ahead and call it. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this video, all that good stuff, and stick around for part 2 of the darker deck tarot collection coming up. Bye guys.